All right, welcome everybody to the IU Hoops halftime report. Your Indiana Hoosiers currently leading Notre Dame 34-23 after a really solid first half by Indiana. The Hoosiers came out and started out well, leading 7-0 at the first media timeout, and then had a little bit of a lull there as Notre Dame kind of worked their way back, and Notre Dame I think got down by 1 at one point. But boy, after the under 8-minute timeout, Archie Miller goes with Armaan Franklin in the lineup, and he and Joey Brunk were just outstanding. And so to me, talk about things that I like from the first half, I think it's got to start with the play of Joey Brunk and Armaan Franklin. And Brunk first. He's in there facing, this guy Mooney from Notre Dame that is a double-double machine. And Joey Brunk almost got a double-double himself in the first half, 8 points, 11 rebounds, an effort highlighted in importance by the fact that Trace Jackson Davis, really for the first time in his career, dealing with a little bit of foul trouble, only able to play 10 minutes out there. And once he went out, Joey Brunk really took over. I mean, Joey's just out there playing really hard and playing really tough. And I thought early on in the game, the rebounds are obviously, the big stat that jumps out. But I thought early on in the game, Joey's patience offensively was really important. As kind of, both teams were kind of trying to ease their way into the game a little bit, not, no points the first couple of minutes. I thought Joey really did a nice job of, moving, getting the ball at the elbow, getting the ball down low, being patient, and helping Indiana get a good shot each time down. And so, offensively, defensively, I think by far, the best full half that he's played as a Hoosier. So he was terrific, and Indiana just kind of jumped on his back. And then Armaan Franklin, we know how poorly he's been shooting. What was he, 4 for 23, something like that, coming into the game from 3? That was a topic of conversation after the Nebraska game when he went 0 for 4. Should Armaan keep shooting? I think we said on the postgame show, you have to let him continue to shoot, but maybe just ask him to be a little bit smarter in terms of the shot selection. Man, he came out ready to shoot. And the mentality that he brought to this game is all I need to see to tell me that he's going to be a shooter as a Hoosier. Because you can just tell a guy that has a shooter's mentality, if he's in a little bit of a slump, he believes in himself. And when he gets open shots, he's going to take them. And that's what Armaan has done. He didn't shy away at all. And that the first three-pointer that he took, it wasn't early in the shot clock. It was off of 4 or 5 passes. The ball had been reversed a couple of times. It was late in the shot clock. He drained it. But what I loved is the next time down, I think it was the very next possession, in transition, he got it with a sliver of opening, and he let it fly. Was it maybe a little bit quick? I don't know. But he had made one. He was feeling confident, and he went with it. That's a shooter. And, of course, he got fouled, made the 3 free throws. And then, to me, probably the play of the half was, it's 29-20. Joey Brunk saves another possession with an offensive rebound, finds Armaan in the corner. Armaan makes it 9 points. And not just that, but I thought Armaan's defense was really good. And so that's the other thing that I liked from this half, and kind of the other early storyline for me is, you even had I wrote it down. The announcer said at one point, this was at about the 10-minute mark, very difficult for Notre Dame to get by anybody on the bounce. That's a real concern for Notre Dame. And given what we've seen recently from Indiana defensively, that's big. Now, Notre Dame, it's not like they have great athletes out there. They're going to blow by a lot of teams. But Indiana has really had trouble containing dribblers, and today that hasn't been the case. You've seen Indiana forced into rotations a lot less, and that's why, even though Notre Dame has taken 14 three-pointers, they've only made 2 of them. Is it 14? No, 15. And they've only made 2 of them because most of them have been well contested, because you haven't just seen a lot of Indiana defenders running from miles away and having to just sprint by a three-point shooter. They've been there, able to challenge the shots, and so I think Notre Dame took advantage a couple of times, on Indiana's hedging. They started to slip that ball screen. But for the most part, Indiana's been really solid in the half-court defense. Now, where Notre Dame, has gotten some easy points is on fast break opportunities. They've basically gotten 6, 3 dunks, and layups. 2 of them off of Devontae Green misses, 1 of them off of a Demezy Anderson turnover. And so from a defensive standpoint, I think Indiana's been really good in the half court, good obviously at controlling the glass, but in transition, not really doing a good enough job to prevent Notre Dame from getting some of those easy buckets. And I think you saw when Race Thompson was in there, Durham was able to get a couple of nice dives to the basket and scored. I think just taking advantage a little bit of Race's inexperience. But for the most part, I don't think there's anything to quibble with the defense today outside of the transition. Indiana's really done a nice job, and I think all the guards have done a nice job. Armaan, Rob, Al, and Devontae have all done a pretty good job out there of containing the guys out on the perimeter, really making Notre Dame work. And when they do take threes, making sure they're contested. So a lot of the things that we came into this game wanting to see, so far we've seen. Now, things that I didn't, particularly like in the first half, I think from a decision-making standpoint, Devontae Green did some things that you'll question. I think the one play when he kind of probed the defense, and that put, just kind of a flaccid little floater up there that got, rejected all the way back to Bloomington by Durham. That was one possession after he had made a floater. So I get it. That kind of play had worked for him, but that just wasn't, it didn't need to do it again. And you've got to be aware that Durham is down there. And then obviously there at the end of the half, I want to go back and watch the film on it because, you wonder whose fault is it that Devontae's immediate reaction with 6 seconds left is to look at the bench? Is that a case of maybe Indiana being overcoached a little bit and needing to just go play in that situation? Was that a bad decision by Devontae? I don't really know, but that obviously, was an opportunity for Indiana to push it a little bit there, and they didn't get it. So, a few of the decisions from Devontae, I'm not a big fan of. I don't think I really quibble with any of the 3-pointers that he took. Was able to make one of them, and I feel like the other ones were pretty good shots. And the other thing that Indiana really did toward the end of the first half is they cleaned up the turnovers. They had 6 turnovers, I think, in the first 10 minutes and only had 1 thereafter. And, you really saw when the bench guys were in there, the turnover problems. Demezi had a couple of bad passes. It's like for about 5 minutes, Indiana lost their minds and just started, getting up in the air and kind of making passes that weren't there. And I think when you've seen, Joey and Justin in there, and also when Trace was in there, those 3 guys have really done a nice job against Notre Dame's zone and against, Notre Dame's defensive strategy of, getting the ball at the elbow, and being able to get it inside and find space, even though Notre Dame has been trying to take some of that away. So look, all in all, a really good half for Indiana. The Hoosiers lead 34-23. We've all seen enough of these Crossroads Classics games to know, especially games with IU and Notre Dame, that you never want to get too excited about a halftime lead because they can evaporate quickly. And, so you don't want to bank on anything. But I think if Indiana can come out in the second half and maintain this intensity, they played really intense for most of the first half. And that's something that, we didn't see as much against Nebraska, where it really looked like, Indiana was, kind of playing with tired eyes and tired legs a little bit. They really seemed to have more of that just kind of intensity and toughness back. Led by Joey Brunk, who was outstanding. And, obviously Armand Franklin off the bench, it was great to see him get in there too. So really nice first half for Indiana. I think in the second half, you just want to see more of the same. And I think you want to see the commitment to getting it inside. The other thing, if there's a thing that I don't particularly like, Indiana only with 4 free throws. Now, it's not like Indiana hasn't gotten it inside because they have 20 points in the paint. But, this Notre Dame team, we know that they don't foul a lot. And so, but I think for Indiana in the second half, especially, if they can kind of maintain, this 9, 10, 11-point lead, you're probably going to force Notre Dame to foul you some, and then you can close out the game from the free throw line. So keep getting it inside, be persistent about getting it inside, and then be opportunistic when you can go inside out to knock down a 3-pointer, as Indiana was in the first half. But solid job all around. Looking forward to watching the second half, and then we look forward to talking to you about it on the post-game show. It'll be me. It'll be Ryan. Join us. We'll talk to you then. Go Hoosiers.